Welcome, one and all, to the podcast Mirror Within. I'm your host, Victor. Today's episode is called Closing the Circle. And this episode is inspired by my experience, my own personal experience in facing the reality of a job coming to an end. Now, I wanted to talk about closing the circle from two angles. One, in relationships, and two, when it comes to work. But let's start with work, which is the less spicy stuff. It's 2025 and a lot is going on in America particularly and in the world in general. People are losing jobs left, right, and center. And my experience has been multi-layered, to say the least. And when I say that, I mean it's been emotional, it's been mentally draining, it's been socially awkward to feel that I'm in a transition now. It's also been very wrecking on a social level when you have colleagues losing their jobs alongside you. But mostly the impact has been really heavy because I work in direct services. We work with the unhoused population. Some may call it the homeless population. And to see the people we serve lose yet another service, and not to brag, but our service was unique in that we saw people. We did, you know that thing when you're at some agency serving 200 people and you're one of those people in line and they say, customer number five, you get reduced to a number, because they can't get to know you personally. They have such a huge volume of people to serve. We had the fortune of serving fewer people and getting to know the human being behind the experience. And to lose that has been really, really heartbreaking, to say the least. But there are some developments happening to see if something can be done about it. I don't want to overshare that at the moment, but I will update you if anything comes up. What I do want to talk about is those layers. So the social layer is really awkward because what I've discovered is when you share with people that you're in this transition where you've lost your job, some people's demeanor changes. The way they connect with you changes, which I found really interesting and at the same time heartbreaking, because it's a title, it's a function that I was performing in that job. It's not me. I'm still me. But as it is, it looks like to some people, you are your job, and if you lose that, you are nothing. And that's why I chose to do this circle for our company, just to remind people that we are not our jobs, we are not our titles. One of the things I usually shared with the people we serve is that if I lose my job tomorrow, it looks like I was foreshadowing 8 things, and I meet you on the street next week, how would you treat me? This goes to show that the way you treat people when you have position power, which could be a job, a title, whatever, is the way they will treat you when you don't have that position power. And I'm happy to say that even after announcing the news to the people we serve, our connection did not change. And this is the interesting part. We serve people who have less than we do and who are struggling more than we are. But the compassion they have and the level of support in the way they have given me has gone far beyond some people who have more. It just made me realize that we might be looking at life backwards. what is being successful? What is truly being successful? And it's that aspect of human connectivity. That's true success. Because without connectivity, we are truly nothing. I always say that's why solitary isolation in prison works, because if we take away other people, you go nuts, you go crazy. So that's the first part of it. And like I was saying, I held this circle at work, this meeting over Zoom, and called it Closing the Circle, just to remind people that we come with so much to offer the world. And sometimes we overlook our successes because we have done it so many times. It's become a repeated behavior. It's automatic for us now. There are things we can do with ease, with facility, and yet other people can't do. That's what makes us unique. But in times of like this, when we're facing such a monstrosity like losing your job, we might forget who we are. We might forget what we're capable of, and therefore feel like we are losers. And it's unfortunate because we live in a culture where this knowledge is not readily accessible. It's not embedded into the fabric of the culture, where personal value, personal power, rather than position power, is taught to people. Now let me dig deeper into personal power. Personal power is the stories your grandmother, your mother, your aunt, your community, your friends, your circle taught you, emboldened in you, and supported, that makes you you. For example, you could be good at talking to people in a way that makes them understand things easier. You could be good at supporting people in a way that they don't feel like they are a burden or that they're less than. You could be good at setting up, organizing. Whatever you're good at is part of your personal power toolkit. And so I held this circle to remind people that we have a lot within us. And I say a lot within us because I know it's true of all human beings. I hate the word potential because it was used so much in school, like he has potential or she has potential, but she's not tapping into it. He's not tapping into it. But it's true. We have potential. We have a lot of potential. And a part of it is activating it. And secondly, and also believing, not secondly, but also believing in it. Believing in it. And believing in your potential requires two things: hope and faith. Right? You got to believe that it's got to work. And you got to have the hope to look forward to something. So in terms of that, I think it's good to take stock of who we are and what we contribute to this life, so that in times like this, we can go back to that and realize that we're more than the sum of the situation or the experience. So that's that in terms of the work side. To sum it up, I would say we're more than the positions we carry. And if we carry them in bad faith, when we walk down the street after we've lost them, we will face the repercussions of the misuse of that power, that position power. But at the end of the day, like Denzel Washington, he said, when you die, you don't have a U-Haul following behind you with all your belongings. Our belongings stay behind. In life, what we accumulate is not ours. We're borrowed. The body is borrowed. It's going to go back to the ground, right? Who we are is the one that occupies the body. And so the material things, the status that we carry in society, what is it worth if we're less of a human being? And so my message would be, what defines us as a human being, and how do we foster that and make sure that it shines above status, above possessions. Right, and now when it comes to relationships, I would say there are a couple of things I have learned in my short time here on this planet. And for those who don't know, I'm divorced, and I've been through that. And what divorce has taught me, I've never talked about this, so it's interesting that I talk about it now. And other relationships have taught me is that after each relationship, I tend to reflect deeply on what my contribution to it was. Because no relationship is formed by one person. We all play a part in it. And that part that we play either contributes to the strength of the relationship or the collapse of it. But sometimes you may come in with your best intentions and do the right thing at the right time, in the right way, do mostly the right thing, and still a relationship may not work. It's complicated. It's, again, like the previous example, is multi-layered, right? People come with their own stories, their own histories, their own narratives as to how things should go, their own perspectives. And sometimes you could have a great perspective on life and they could have a great perspective on life, but your perspectives don't gel. Instead, they could clash or they could diverge. It doesn't mean one person is right or wrong. They could be right or wrong. But from my experience and my perspective, it's a learning journey. Each person you meet is a chance to learn something about yourself and about them. Everybody is a teacher and everybody is a student in this life. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned. And I've come to the point where I heed the lesson. And by heed the lesson, I mean this couch has had many, many nights where I sit here alone and just contemplate, reflect on how things went, reflect on what I could do better, reflect on what I want. That's a big part of it. Because sometimes you think you want something, but you don't actually know until you experience it, and then you realize that that's not exactly what you want. Or you know you want something, but you can't express it clearly in a way that that person you're talking to can understand. Now, I want to dive deeper into this. Communication is crucial, right? But the thing is, we communicate in so many different ways. Some people communicate more with words. Some people communicate more with writing. We have different ways of communicating. And it also comes down to tone, the timing of when the message is given, and how you process information. How do you take on something that somebody said and follow up on it to build up on it? What's your process? Do you ask follow-up questions? Do you give a similar example? What's your process? And how do you articulate your needs if they're not met in a way that builds? That's one thing I've learned. That's one thing I'm working on. In my former years, when this was still black, I used to have less of a filter and just be direct with people, just speak my mind as it was. And what I found was that it hurts people a lot, right? And that doesn't really pave the way for building relationships in a healthy way. It could convey the message effectively, but in terms of building relationships, it's not very effective. And so That's one thing I learned, and I worked on that. But then also, the that filter. I'm going a bit deep into personal stuff here, but this is what it's about. That filter did not go away. It transmuted into a different thing, which is okay. I don't like confrontation. I don't like violence in word or in physical form, and so that led to an avoidance of confrontation at the beginning, and a lack of articulating my needs because I didn't have the vocabulary or the skill set to do so. But over time, it's been clear to me that I speak my truth when I have to, and I speak it clearly and loudly. And unfortunately, my kids just came in. Just a minute, girls. It's okay. Just a minute. I'm just rounding off the.
Okay, your card's on the table.
Okay, great.
Spend like $20.
Awesome. And so that's what I'm working on. Yes, I can speak my truth. Yes, I can make my decision to do something. Yes, I can proceed with that. And be okay with that. But the question is, has it helped the other person grow also? Has it provided closure, which is a very important part of it, hence the title, Closing the Circle. Because at the end of the day, I would rather make a friend than an enemy. I would rather have somebody be at peace with what happened than have them carry the weight of the experience we had together. And that's important because my daughter's curling on the floor. She's trying to be quiet, but I can see her. That's important because at the end of the day, we carry each other. Like I explained in the previous example, we are nothing without other human beings around. And so whether I'm in a relationship with somebody or in community with them, or if our paths crossed, it's important to me that the closure of that is healthy, is positive, is nourishing to growth, is nourishing. So that's what I would say. I would say what I would leave you with, if you allow me to so do, is the question: what's in your toolkit? It looks like this will be a running theme in the coming episodes. Toolkit is so important when it comes to communicating your needs, when it comes to communicating your frustrations, when it comes to communicating with the other person about their needs. How's your listening? How are your listening skills? How are your response skills, not reactions? And also, what's your perspective when it comes to closure? And I always like to say, of which I'll close it with, even the most beautiful flower dies at the end. It doesn't mean it's a tragedy. It's sad to see a beautiful flower wilt away and die, but that's part of life. Nothing lasts forever. But what we want to carry is the memory of its scent and the beauty that it provided us. We want to carry those forward as happy memories. It's not a loss because the ground has gained something. The petals now nourish the ground so that it becomes fertile for the next flower. It's the cycle of life. I hope you found this useful. And I'm Victor. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments if you so feel like. And also if you have a topic that you'd like me to cover, I would be happy to to look at it, and if it's in my wheelhouse, I'll be happy to talk about it. Thanks so much for watching, and please do share it with anybody you might think might find it useful. Have a beautiful one.